And it is breaking news tonight at 5, and it's a big one in Bardstown. Kentucky State Police arrest 46-year-old Nick Houck, the brother of the man convicted in the murder of Crystal Rogers. Hello, everybody. It's our top story at 5. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard. Nick Houck is charged with first-degree perjury, a Class D felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison if found guilty. Well,
investigators say Nick Houck, a former Bardstown police officer, allegedly made false statements under oath between July of 2015 and April of 2023. Crystal Rogers disappeared over the 4th of July weekend of 2015. Brooks Houck was arrested in September of 2023. Nick Houck taken into custody without incident.
Nick Houck's name first emerged early in the investigation into Rogers' 2015 disappearance. During a police interview, he called his brother and advised him to stop talking with detectives. After, Houck was questioned by investigators, failed a polygraph test, and was fired from the Bardstown Police Department. Now tonight, we are joined again by our longtime legal analyst, Nick Mudd of the Mudd Legal Group in Louisville.
He was with us through the different trials in the Crystal Rogers convictions. And Nick, you've been looking at this. Crystal Rogers' name is not specifically mentioned in any of these documents, but you've been looking at the timing of everything for Nick Houck. Explain this perjury charge.
Well, first of all, it's interesting. It's a Class D felony, which means it carries 1 to 5 years. Okay, in Kentucky, there's no statute of limitations, so that means you could be charged any time with a felony. Basically, there's no time frame of when that runs out. It does carry that penalty. It is a felony, so it's a serious charge. He has a $25,000 bond right now that we saw. We don't know if that's posted, but we can assume he's been housed at the Nelson County Jail at this time. But wow. Wow. And interestingly, probably the most interesting thing in here is the time frames. Crystal Rogers went missing around July 4th, 2015. We see in the indictment, which is the charging instrument here, it charges from July the 15th of 2015, approximately 11 days after her appearance, and an ending date of April the 16th of 2023. Now, we don't have any discovery. That's the evidence in the case. But what we do have are these dates here, and I would say those dates are significant. We don't know why yet, but certainly they have to have some significant importance here.
Are you thinking this is about the grand jury testimony that he gave? And why are they charging him 1 year after his brother was convicted? The timing also seems a little odd, too, if they already, thought that there was a reason to charge.
Right. And I think, as a prosecutor had even said during the trial, Shane Young, hey, there are unindicted co-conspirators. And I think
he would be one of them.
He would be one of them. I think what we're seeing is the fallout from that now of what they talked about. And, that team spent a lot of time in that investigation. I think they've shifted focus now. Now they're focusing on this person. And certainly, they're doing justice. They brought charges.
Nick, 15-year period here. The indictment says, though, Nick made a material false statement, which he did not believe in an official proceeding while under oath required or authorized by law. Statement. Does that mean he just made it one time, or we're talking many times over 15 years?
That's a good question. And one of the things we don't know is we have such a long time period here between 2015 and 2023. So we're talking about an 8-year time period here. We don't know how many, but what we do know is that, those dates of when they're starting. I think those are very material here. I think they're very important. And the question is going to be, why those 2 dates? Why are those so significant? Those are very specific. They didn't start on the 1st of the month or the 1st of a year. These are very specific dates, and I think they'll be important once we start seeing the evidence come out in the case.
Do you think there may be more family members charged?
We heard unindicted co-conspirators. There was an S there during that trial.
The mother?
Potentially.
Okay. Where do you see this leading? It's a perjury charge. Where do we go down the road with this? What are they trying to get at here?
It's the lowest level felony, but it's still a felony, which means it does carry prison time. That means he could spend, if he's convicted here, could spend a minimum of a year in prison, up to 5 years in prison. But people forget, if someone's a convicted felon, there are other significant things that happen. And that means you can't carry a firearm. You can't vote. You can't run for office. There's certain other things that happen that are detrimental. So, it's not a serious felony, but it's a felony nonetheless, and he could be facing legitimate prison time.
How difficult is it for prosecutors to prove a perjury charge?
Usually, these are not charges that are brought that often. The most famous in Louisville and Kentucky specifically, Mel and Otto, we all remember that. I was younger when that happened, but I still remember that. But, usually they're not brought often, but when they are brought for a reason. They are brought to show, look, you do not lie in an official proceeding, and normally when they are brought, the prosecutor has a strong case.
The whole issue of the secret grand jury recordings and all that was a big deal in this trial. Right. You know, after the trial ended, we heard that this case could possibly be continuing. What do you think's running through the mind of Sherry Ballard, the family, the folks in Bardstown? Why is this an important new development, Nick?
Well, I think it was clear during that trial that there were other people involved. And we all knew that. We hear, you know, we're the outside looking in, but it became apparent during that case that was mentioned by the prosecutor, Shane Young. So looking at this, I think the family has to feel a little more sense of, hey, you know, we got justice, but, you know, we're glad to see that other people who were involved in the potential disappearance of Crystal are finally being brought to justice as well.
How does this affect Brooks Houck's appeals?
It really doesn't affect him directly. Okay. This shouldn't play into that. I know that we look at it together as, oh, well, it's a family, they're brought together, but those are separate issues. He's got an appeal pending right now, and it shouldn't really affect the appeal at all.
All right. Nick Mudd of the Mudd Legal Group, thanks so much. You spent a lot of time with us through the lengthy trials. We appreciate it.